What's up, folks? We are back, episode 30 of the Twins Out of the Park Baseball 24 series. Here in the 2033 offseason, right at the start, and our division rival, the Detroit Tigers, wind up winning the World Series in 2033 um, against the Braves. So that brings up the offseason, which, that was our shortest, appearance in the postseason since we didn't make it our first year. So a lot of big moves to come this offseason. And let's start off with getting to, our big problem. So we have no money available. I kind of saw this coming. We have a ton of guys due for like huge arbitration deals, like Wolf. I guess that's the only one, but a bunch of guys are making a ton of money on this team right now. Lash is actually up for a big $12 million deal in his first year of arbitration. So we're gonna have to move some money around and clear some up so we can keep looking ahead to the future as well as plan for now. So there's two guys I guess that are our main guys that we could look to deal. So Hagen Smith, I'd love to keep him, and I very well might, but he's due to make about $35 million for us this next year. I can pretty much get rid of him and get nothing in return but dump his salary, which I don't really want to. He's still a really good pitcher, and he's been huge for us in the playoffs every year. Had a big playoff start in that horrible loss against the Angels, but he's due to make $35 million. I prefer not to give him up. Yasser Mercedes, the other guy, I signed him to this pretty affordable deal way back in the day. He's 28 years old. He'll make $15 million in his age 29 season next year. And unfortunately, I think he's probably going to be the guy that I cut bait with here. So, he's got a good amount of money left. I think we have some guys who can fill in the outfield. Schreier will be gone. But, maybe Plencia moves the outfield full time. We keep this infield. It's funny. We used to have a surplus of outfielders. Now we have a surplus of infielders. And I think Plencia could be fine and left. We also have Sawden, who probably could play the infield a little bit. Maybe we wind up moving. Where the heck is DiMartini? He's just on my bench. Maybe DiMartini goes to second base, which he could definitely play for sure. Maybe Pena goes back to third. We trade Roy, but these guys are still affordable, and that's pretty important to us. So, that's all that to say. Hatfield will probably be in center just because we don't have a ton of other options. Driver will probably have a role on this team next year. Kevin Hood, who got a bit of time up in the majors this year, he'll probably be on the team. Brady Allen, of course, he'll be back. So maybe it just goes Allen, Palencia at Hatfield or outfield next year. Mercedes is a good player. I like him a lot. He's one of the guys that I kind of saw as one of the core members, and he steals a ton of bases. He's a really good player, but his bat's dropped off, and I think if we need to save some money, that's probably a good spot to start. The next spot is a bunch of guys in arbitration. And, quite a lot of money wrapped up in these fellas. So, Miguel Rondon, I think he's due to make $5.5 million. I've already decided to non-tender him. He's a nice reliever, had a nice year, but $5.5 million for a middle reliever, probably a little bit too much. Other guys, Gismondi, due for a sizable raise of $4.75 million. Still a good pitcher. And he had a really nice bounce back year this season. He might actually be really important for this team moving forward. But he's another guy. Ivan Armstrong, of course, had a really nice year, but imploded in this playoff game. That's not going to deter me from bringing him back. But also, if we can get rid of that deal and get something in return that's doable, I would definitely like that. Mike Wolf. We still have to deal with him and his extension. I still want to do it, but we'll probably do it next offseason. and maybe deal Hagen Smith if we have to at that point. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Tommy White also making $5 million as a platoon guy. I'm not sure if I'm going to give him that, although, he's been so good. I don't know. I guess he had a pretty rough year this season. Lamar King definitely will be on the move. I'm not paying $5 million for backup catcher. And Hoffman had another nice year, so I trust Hoffman at this point a little bit more than King. So that's all to say. We don't have a ton of money, and we have our two best relievers hitting the market. I'm not going to be able to resign either of them. They want a ton of money. I'll probably offer Neely the qualifying offer, although I can't even offer an extension right now, so I'm going to have to clear up some money first to see if they'd accept. I'm pretty sure Dean wouldn't, or I'm pretty sure Neely wouldn't. Dean might, but I'll get to that, in the next stage. So, yeah, we'll be back in just a little bit with those, some trades and stuff, clear up some space. All right, so we are back. First trade of the offseason. Pretty big one, but I think we're getting a good package in return for what we're giving up here. So the guys who were giving up in the trade, Yasser Mercedes mentioned, he's been really good. One of the staples on this team, like one of the first guys. Actually, that's not true. He was one of the early guys that I remember being a key piece besides Steve Martini and Palencia. We locked him up to a long-term extension, and it's a really affordable deal. But we just don't have enough money right now, so we have to clear some room. So we go with him and Will Warren, who on a really affordable deal, $7.5 million we owe him next year. In his age 34 season, then he'll be a free agent. So, I don't want to give him up, but we have plenty of pitching depth, I think. You take him out, and we still have 5 guys that I'm comfortable starting. So, that's not even counting Brazen, Bruin, and some other guys we have down in the minors. Then also Chris Zeeler, who's a 9th round pick from 2030. Kind of just a throw in. I don't know. Nothing crazy, but, the returns on anything insane. We're getting this guy, Tokunari Matsumura, who was a 2nd round pick in 2028. Looks like he spent 2 years in the majors in 2031, 2032, and was pretty good, especially 2032. 2.6 WAR, and then he spent last year down in AAA for some reason. But not much with the bat, but a really good glove, and he might start hitting shortstop next year at this rate. So we also pick up Juan Ramirez, who's a nice minor league depth, 26 years old, but he can fill in at third base if we need him. Mike Ryan, a good center field supplemental piece, 1st round pick back in 2027, and this guy Chrysler Blackmore, who is probably a long-term Tommy White replacement. 23 years old. I don't even think he's Rule 5 eligible, so we'll have to add him to the 40 man, but we should have plenty of room on that. So fly ball hitter, decent bat. Equal splits at this point, but just more minor league depth. We also get $10 million cash, which was kind of the big deal. I want to see how much I can get out of it. Will Warren, if I threw him in, we were able to get a bunch of cash. So with Warren, we give up $7.5 million. Mercedes was 15, and then we get $10 million. So our money improves by $31 million in this deal. So we go from being in the red to in the black again. So, or I guess in the green in this game. So apparently Scott F. Ross, was he on my team in this save? Yeah, he was. He's still kicking, apparently. 39 years old. But there you go. That's going to be our first trade of the offseason. A pretty big one. I had a feeling our team wouldn't like that, but fortunately we had to do it. So we clear a bunch of payroll. We now have $19 million for money for extensions. So, we're able to offer our guys arbitration at least. So still some more moves to be made. Lamar King probably on his way out. Tommy White, I think I'll keep around for another year, but I think it's free agency after this season. Let me actually check on that. Yeah, it's free agency after next year. So does King. Maybe it's maybe we keep King around. Maybe we just steal him while he gets some value. Yeah, but that's the first move of the offseason. We'll keep moving ahead here. All right, so we are here. It is December 7th, and a couple moves to update on. First is this trade. Santiago Soho was a reliever for the Orioles. Um, a pretty good pitch mix. I like this. He'll be my closer this year. We picked him up in a trade for this guy, Jorge Godinez, who, not a bad pitcher, but, more like minor league depth. Probably don't see him in my plans long term. And then Pat Ailts. He was a dude we got a while ago. Yeah, he was let's see, 14th round pick back in 2026. And, he's kind of flatlined at AAA, AA. He's been back and forth where we need him. He's been fine when he's like been in AA, but never been able to put it together at AAA. So he's a guy who was cool giving up, and we get a really nice reliever in return. The other big move, I finally pulled it off. We extended Mike Wolf. So essentially, this looks like a crazy extension, but like, okay, so we went to the offseason. He was, I don't know if I showed it, but he was demanding like close to $80 million a year, and it was ridiculous. And then as soon as free agency hit, his demands went way down. He went down to like in the 40s for his demand. So we lock him up to this deal. It's $34 million next year. Not next year, 2035. Yeah, it says it right here. Then 45 mil for the next 3 years after that, and then 48 for 4 years, 2 player options at the end. So we get him through his age 33 season at least, and then 34 and 35 are up to him. But yeah, pretty crazy. I was able to pull that off. I don't know why his demand went down so much when free agency started, but yeah, we lock up like a future Hall of Famer. Pretty cool stuff. So very pumped about that. And I think it's about it so far this offseason. A couple extensions. For some reason, the Braves extended Vaughn Grisham. He's been like a pretty bad player the last couple of years, but I guess he's worth $25 million a year. Let's see. International stuff. It's been a couple of days since I logged on. They're selling our house right now, so people have been coming in and out, and that kind of screwed up my recording time when I usually do this. So that should be over now. We'll probably be back, 4 times a week. So yeah, we're gonna sim ahead and kind of move forward with the offseason and see what happens. I also forgot to mention I offered qualifying offers to our 2 relievers. One of them was Noah Dean, and the other was what the heck's his name? Jack Neely, who considers himself a starter apparently, and is demanding $40 million. It's crazy. Yeah, so I offered them both qualifying offers. They both rejected, and Noah Dean looks like he just signed with Los Angeles Dodgers. So wow. $23 million a year for 4 years for a closer. A good one, volatile maybe, but yeah, I have to question that decision. But I guess the Dodgers have money to blow. Also, this guy's a really good player, Campbell Smithwick, been on the Cubs for the last 6 years. He signs with San Diego, and Max Clark. I was actually looking at a deal for him. He goes to the Dodgers as well. He only wanted a 4-year deal, so I was looking at it and see if I can make it work, but with the Wolf thing, probably not. So yeah, we can look at our long-term finances. It's pretty crazy. We have a lot of money wrapped up in 4 guys, and then nothing really else, which is probably how I want it anyway. You bank on your stars. We have Palencia for the next 5 seasons. He has actually an opt-out for this year. Oh, it's interesting. Shoot. Okay, I don't recall giving him that. That's crazy. And then DiMartini has one after next year, so or after 2035. That could get interesting then. And then Hagen Smith, he's on this deal, but we could always deal him if we need to. And the contracts that are being given out in this league, I don't know if this is like this in every save, but there was a couple of guys who signed like ridiculous extensions. I'm pretty sure Noah Franco was one of them. Yeah, he signed an extension, 8 years, $628 million. He'll make $47 million this year, which looks like a complete bargain compared to the $83 million he'll make up through 2041. So, to be able to get Mike Wolf for practically half of that amount is a huge win in my book, I would say. But yeah, $83 million. I mean, he might be worth it. I have no idea. I know like the extensions are getting pretty wild in this save, but yeah, that's just a little like tidbit on the league and how like that's going financially. So we're in pretty good shape, I'd say, long term. We're like we have ways to escape if we get in trouble. But all right, we're gonna sim up a little bit and get back to you guys shortly. All right, so we have a smaller trade here. Just to clear up a 40-man spot. I have, let's see, I have this guy Mike Cole. I just claimed off waivers. 22-year-old, some pretty good potential. Is maybe like a long relief type player. So we claimed him. I guess the Braves. I forgot what team this was. White Sox. Sorry. I guess they didn't want him on their 40-man, so I claimed him, and we need to open up a spot, so I'm going to deal Luis Pacheco, who was really good last year in AAA for us, and I placed him on the 40-man roster. He's a ground ball hitter, not the best ratings in the world, but, he'll probably be a good player on the Astros, but we also give a former first-round pick, Stefan Hufkin, who had just never been able to really put it together. He's had some injuries and stuff. I think last year he had some bone chips in his elbow and then suffered another setback and came back and is really bad in Double-A. He could recover, but he's 25 years old. I was cool giving him up. So in return, we're getting Josh Barnes, who, if I play him in the bullpen, I'm sure he'll actually be like a pretty good arm. Doesn't have a great put-away pitch, but I'm going to stick him in AAA probably to start the year, and he'll play there. Then this guy, Jaheim Redu, who's kind of just like an organizational filler, but could be a nice, AAA starter, come up if we need him. Not the worst player in the world. So we also get $3 million cash with this deal. So, just kind of a 40-man move, open up some spots, especially for Mike Cole. So there you go. He'll be added to the 40-man roster. And Hall of Fame stuff, I guess we can check in on that because that just happened. Nobody got in. Kimbrel was off by probably 1 vote. Jansen probably by 5 votes. Ichiro was dropped, unfortunately. This game doesn't really know how to put together, all of his stats and paint a good picture. Also, Goldschmidt's not going to make it in, which is crazy. Freeman, not going to get in first ballot. He definitely deserves it. For sure. I mean, one of the best hitters of all time in the save, too. He raked with the Dodgers when this save started, and he's been good. So, sorry, it's really polleny outside. So I'm a little stuffed up, but it looks like Jackson Holiday signed a big deal. That's cool. Okay, yeah, so international free agent signings in a couple days, so maybe we'll still up to that. And, it's only, I think it's on January 15th, so going up to there. Trade proposal. We really don't need any. We're kind of booked up on players at the moment. Oh, also, I claimed Chase Petty, old friend of ours, off waivers from Houston. Still a pretty good pitcher, and he's back with the Twins after being gone for a year. So, and he had a pretty good year last year when he was pitching. So, very excited about that. This guy's a pretty good player, Joseph Chiarado. Wow, really nice player. They want Pena in return. I mean, wow, this actually isn't not a half bad trade. Former 9th overall pick. What does my scout have to say about him? An elite eye righty, which we kind of need. Interesting. I mean, he's never really been a good hitter in the majors, which is interesting. his walk rate's not even that good for like having a 75i. Like if you're gonna be a walk only guy, like you better have like a 15% walk rate, not a 12. Or last year it was 9.5. Ground ball hitter, not great speed. It's an interesting player, but I don't think we have a spot for him. I mean, we really don't have a ton of like real outfielders. It's really only Allen and Hatfield, like guys that I really trust, and really only Allen. If we're talking about like actual players, Ruckert's gonna play some left field this year. Palenci's gonna play some left field, but yeah, I think we're good for now. We'll pass, but that is an interesting player I'll keep my eye on. Okay, so the amateurs. Scouted a couple guys. This guy is my main target, but sorry. Edgar Suazo, good leader, pretty good like defender out in center / corner outfield. And his bat could play in a corner as well, for sure. I think I was scouting this guy as well. Elite bat, but not really a defensive home. But he is cheaper, so there's the chance I sign him. Barrientes. Also have a good relationship. I forgot which guys I actually scouted. It's been a little bit. This guy I definitely looked at. Morales. I'm just looking at the guys who I have good relationships with. Yeah, he was cheap. That's why I liked him. So I'm going to offer him a deal. We have $6.6 million. I was trying to hold out and not trade anyone before this so I can, instead of getting that $3 million cash, I get that in, I get some bonus money here, but I wasn't able to hold out long enough. We need to open up that 40-man spot, and that's why I did that trade. But we can still probably work something out with getting some more money if we want to. So we'll offer Morales $1 million. I want to offer Suazo it, but that'll probably use up the rest of my money. And we don't have a ton of guys. Like, we've been kind of going for quality over quantity the last couple of years, and that might be hurting us quite a bit. So I think we might go quantity this year. Try to get like a bunch of like really nice players to fill out our minor league system here. So it's also all batters. Oops. I'm not sure if there were any good pitchers. I like this guy a lot. Fiesca. He doesn't want too much. Maybe I'll go with like a $3.6 million offer. 3.8. That was too many zeros. There we go. So we have $1.8 million left for signing. How's this guy? Oh, yeah, I don't mind him. We have a strong relationship with him, this Herrera guy. I do actually like this pitcher quite a bit. This will probably use up the rest of our money. I mean, we could probably use some arms. He's pretty well developed for a 16-year-old too, so this guy might be worth it. So I'm going to offer him our last... Oh, too many zeros. Oops, we actually had $200,000 left. Okay, well, let's see if these guys sign, and then we'll open up some more room if we need to. Let's see. Okay, so we lost Jack Neely, but we got the first round supplemental pick in this year's draft. Not quite the $39 million he wanted, but still a good deal. Noah Dean and him got about the same contract. Comparable players, but it's a lot of money for a dude who's never really started. He started 10 games in his career. Okay, so these guys like our offers. And the Reds of all teams to do that. That's pretty crazy. All right, so we got all three of our guys. So Morales, Viesca, and Herrera sign. I'm going to see if I can, look at any trades to get some more international money to be able to stock up our system. But, yeah, we'll be back with that in just a moment. All right, so we're back. Start of spring training. Didn't wind up making any trades. International money was too expensive. So yeah, we moved into the into the season, the spring training. And this is our roster. You can look through. No really surprising names. Some non-roster invites like Enrique Bradfield and Joe Adell. Just guys to fill the roster, I guess. And then pitching side, here you go. If you want to look through, um, nothing too crazy. We pretty much know what our roster, at least pitching wise, is going to look like. Hitting, there's some spots up in the air, and there'll be injuries too that are going to happen throughout spring. Um, so yeah, we'll be back on opening day or like end of spring training around that area, unless a big injury happens. Let's cross our fingers that doesn't. But yeah, we'll be back. All right, folks. So we're back. It's opening day. Made it through spring training mostly unscathed. Jack Ruckert went down right at the beginning, actually in the second game. And I put him on the IL. He'll be out for the next day, I guess, but I'll probably send him in a rehab assignment. Just because, it was a roster crunch to get everyone to this far. So, yeah, this is our opening day roster. Quite a bit different than, years past. Jeff Hatfield had a rough spring, but he'll be starting in center to start the year. Yeah, I mean, he's got a short leash, but we traded for him last year in hopes that, this was his year to start. We did go with Liendo in that trade. Looks like he re-signed on a pretty nice deal with Baltimore, so good for him. Didn't have the best of seasons, though. Who else did we give up? Jorge Resto. He's in minor leagues, but yeah, Hatfield to be in center. We have Ruiz in left with Ruckert out, so he had a really nice spring in limited time. He only had 18 at-bats, but something I try to get everyone at bats in spring. Sometimes, like Tony Ruiz, he just doesn't get at bats. I don't know what the deal is, but Terrell Barzey makes it actually over that is his name, Matsumura. Matsumura had a fine spring, but I want to give Barzey a shot. He's not the defender that Matsumura is, but he's 27 years old. He's been raking in AAA the last 2 years, so. I figure I'd reward him and put him on the opening day roster here. Pending injuries, he probably won't last too long with Ruckert back pretty soon. But yeah, he's on the opening day roster, playing quite a bit in the infield. Jeff Royal started at third, Pena at short, although he doesn't really have the range. But I think everything else is fine. He'll play a fine shortstop, I'm sure, and then the usual suspects. Besides that, I guess Steve Driver, maybe a surprise. He's been like, 1 year he plays quite a bit, next year he doesn't play at all, next year he plays quite a bit, and then doesn't play at all. But he's 30 years old. He makes the opening day roster. Not the best spring in the world, but he has defensive versatility, and I don't know, I just like him as a player. So, rotation-wise, Eric Watson had a rough spring, but I'm going to trust him. He kind of just had one really bad game. If you cut that out, pretty decent spring training. Glazebrook was awesome during the spring. He's cracking the rotation. He probably won't give that up, I'd assume. The rest of it's as expected with Carson, Smith, and Wolf. Soho, good spring. He'll be in the closer spot. Lash, Armstrong, and then Petty. Olson, Jimenez, he pitched quite a bit last year for me, but not a ton. Was really good in AAA and had a good spring, so he makes the team. Gismondi and Brazen, maybe a surprise there, but he had an awesome spring training. The last guy cut was Dave Benison, who was really good. I expect him to be the first guy up, or, if we need an extra arm or something, he'll be up. So, yeah, there we go. Spring training. Mike Wolf on the mound, or spring training's over. Mike Wolf's on the mound opening day in Texas. And we lose 3-2. Ruckert's back. And checking out the box score, looks like we got 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Those were off Olson and Lash. So Olson continues to be not great. Hatfield has a couple hits. Looks like Brady Allen a couple walks, and then Palencia and Pena drove in our runs. But there you go. That is the off-season episode. Thank you so much for watching. And, yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.